It's May 17th, 2024. I am at Joel. No, can't do it. Okay, it's time to get in the weeds. Jeremy Lambert's here. I thought, I was asked to continue doing the thing.
Nobody asked you that, Joel. Don't lie to the people.
I have a message from the anonymous general manager that says, and I quote, "Do the whole show next time in the accent."
Baby. Yeah. Did you ask Joel to do the whole show in the accent?
Maybe counts as a yes. Jeremy Lambert's here. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fed up with both of you. Both of you.
I am very, very happy to oblige and get a little revenge. I got
revenge.
Yes, I'm sticking up for all the times you went off on our friends and in case this case is loved ones. I listened to the spotlight yesterday.
Sorry.
First of all, you're spot on. Thank you for taking Steven Jensen to task about his feelings towards Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He was being a hater on Steve Austin, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Can we talk about that for a real quick second? So first of all, the reason why I'm actually bringing that up, not only because I wanted to say I listened to the spotlight and make Jeremy feel good about himself, but also because Zack Heydorn is going to be joining us at 11:30 a.m. Eastern to talk about the book that he just officially released. It's called Stunning, the Artistry of Steve Austin. It's going to be all about Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're going to talk to him about the book and, of course, his love of Stone Cold. But yesterday, Steven Jensen decided to take a few shots at Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then you decided to stick up for old Stone Cold.
Real quickly, because I see Paul Jar Finisher mentioning in the chat. No X-Men spoilers, please. I've not watched it yet.
Okay.
If you want to talk about it on your Twitter, that's fine. I do a good job of curating all of that. Please don't put any in our chat, though, specifically for me and maybe other people who haven't watched it. Okay, thank you. As far as, look, man, we were talking about the lights on, lights off gimmick.
That's the best part.
And then he brought up Undertaker, how it was a great lights on, lights off. And I was like, okay, sure. He's like, unlike Steve Austin, who didn't show up. Like, what are we doing throwing strays at Steve Austin?
The only strays that Steve Austin gets to deal with now are cats, okay?
Cats, yeah.
Those are the only things we allow Stone Cold Steve Austin to happily handle.
So I had to call him out on that. I liked how he was like ready to move on. He's like, I don't know why we spent so much time on this. Well, why not? We're going to talk about like actual stuff that's going on in wrestling. That's dumb.
You see, this is one of the reasons why I actually love this show on certain days is because, not to toot your horn, which I commonly do, let's face it. But like, this is one benefit to this particular show is that you literally see, read, interpret, like you intake all of these comments and quotes and interviews with wrestlers. Like, if I say something that doesn't totally vibe with what a wrestler may or may not have said, then like you'll say it, or you'll at least have the context to work with. A good example of this was the Jey Uso match. I thought I had read about his reaction to the match not being very good, and like he admitted it himself. But like when you mention that on the show, that adds a layer of context. Like Jay actually said it in an interview, and because it's not some salacious headline, we aren't talking about it as much as we typically would. So that's one benefit to our show, Better Than Busted Open, is that we get to talk about the news that is literally being written by you and the team at Fightful, and that stuff matters. Stone Cold did not get asked for his opportunity to be on WrestleMania. That's the point. He hasn't talked about it.
Yeah, he's never talked about it. And I've searched. I've looked for any type of like Austin podcast, nondescript podcast that he might have been on, like a beer podcast or something that he may have joined to talk about his IPA. I've not found anything. So maybe it's out there and I just have yet to uncover it. But if I haven't uncovered it and the GOAT hasn't uncovered it, because I've not seen him write anything about it, then I'm gonna assume he ain't commented on it yet. So I will not let Steve Austin slander aspect slide when we don't know why he didn't show up to WrestleMania. We do not know.
Maybe he was feeding the cat.
I gotta send a message real quickly, Joel. Vant for a second while I compose this message.
Sure, no problem. We got plenty of stuff going on today on the show. Like I said, Zack Heydorn is going to join us at 11:30. Looking forward to that. On top of that, we are getting into a busy weekend. We'll talk a little bit about Dynamite and everything that happened last night, and we get closer to Double or Nothing. I'm going to touch on the main event status conversation that Jeremy and I have been having ongoing. I think that just took a pretty interesting turn because it kind of confirmed, not confirmed who's going on last, but certainly how AEW is posturing or presenting Double or Nothing coming up in Vegas in about 10 days or so, maybe less than a week. And of course, SmackDown's tonight. We'll talk about that and a plethora of other things. So we're looking forward to a lot of good conversations. Moxley versus Takeshita added to the Double or Nothing card. I know you and I, Jeremy, are going to have a good chat about whether that's a good idea. I'll give you a hint. I think it's good that it's an eliminator match, especially for something that has been in the pipeline between Mox and Takeshita for almost a month. So I'm happy that they're going to revisit that. And hopefully this isn't the first time those two are going to match up. Along with that, the Takeshita conversation, the quote that came out yesterday from an interview that he did. We'll touch on that a little bit because I am curious as to Jeremy's thoughts, because I know he read about Takeshita's comments about Asian representation in wrestling. Not that we are the people who are going to have the proper conversation, but some people say maybe Takeshita's working, maybe he's not, or maybe he's touching on a very important point about wrestling, and we'll discuss that and more on the show. We also got a super chat from Kim Gray. By the way, you can donate a super chat any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, or you can also just love us. Just love us. Throw a thumbs up on the video. There you go. Subscribe to the channel. Why haven't you yet? Yeah, there you go. We'll take the bubble. We live in the bubble. There's the fireworks. Kim says, work Zoom call, so I will catch the replay. Well, thank you. Thanks for being a bright spot in my days. Have a great show. I'm saying a great show. I'm going to reword your super chat. We're going to have a great show and a great weekend. Kim, I hope you do too. Hope you and the family enjoy it. I hope that Bo has been watching the WWE Twitch and 55 minutes of Wyatt 6.
Oh my God.
We want to talk about that for 10 seconds because that was
let's talk about it for 55 minutes because that's how long this thing lasted.
Frame by frame breakdown of the Wyatt 6 with their
here's another minute of an empty chair. Here's another minute of an empty chair. Here's another minute of an empty chair.
What are you doing? If you're watching live, what do you do? Were you really?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's the most work that Twitch has had in months. You don't, but I used to at least tune in for part of the Raw sidecast. And man, that thing was just sad. It was just
remember you
sad.
would give weekly updates on that.
I would, and then I did a monthly update because nothing had changed. I'm sure if I go and I check this Monday, probably find out the exact same thing I found out a month ago, which is nothing changed.
Here's another minute of an empty chair. Oh, I watched it. Yes, I watched it live, and it was something. I will say that it was certainly something.
I scrubbed through it. Like a sane person. I scrubbed through it.
I watched it live because I didn't think they were gonna do like a reveal on Twitch or anything like that. Would seem dumb.
Could you imagine if we did though?
I mean,
if they revealed that group of wrestlers on Twitch. Oh my God.
It was just more lore and everything. Like nothing really got accomplished. And it was like, all right, here's our family, or here's the family. Do you want to talk about the family? No words were spoken. They're just sending notes. I don't know. Joel, you ever just, when you're in therapy session, just like, instead of talking, you just write your notes and then be like, here you go. Just read this.
Well, when they were in person, no. Now that they're online, no. I thought about the holiday stream that we did one year where you were just writing things on a notepad and putting them up to the screen. That was essentially what we were watching, except the the notes were being passed back and forth. It's very interesting. Listen, they got the creepiness down. They made it look creepy. There were certain moments where it was like, oh, spooky and just weird. They got the weird factor down. The heebie-jeebies. Nothing was like jumped cut scares, but it was certainly like the vibe was there of like being this weird, creepy looking, oh my God, what is this type of presentation? I liked that. But yeah, otherwise it was 55 minutes of, it was a chair stream. It was a chair stream. And that for some people is good enough.
Here's another minute of an empty chair. It was something. Like, I don't know. Like, what we found out at it was the same thing we knew from Monday when they put the QR code on there of the therapist is now missing. So, what happened to the therapist? You'd think they'd have like an investigative team.
You'd think so. I mean, listen, there are enough lawyers in the WWE world and outside of it that there should be someone in a
somebody. Don't do this, anybody, but somebody should file a missing persons report on Wendy Lucha or Lucho, whatever her name is. Someone should do that.
That sounds, honestly, 5 years ago probably would have happened.
She has been last seen on the WWE Twitch. No. Why not? I feel this is great. Why?
It's certainly something. I do like the idea of doing the
It's like when the cops were called at Universal when the NWO beat up Rey Mysterio. Real wrestling, everybody. Let's get the cops involved.
Listen. You don't want Full Sail University sending you messages in the middle of the night telling you to retract statements. You don't want that.
File a missing persons report on Wendy Lucho, and let's get to the bottom of this. Be like, how do you even like file that? She was last seen on WWE Twitch between 4 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern, speaking to no one who was handing her notes. She stepped out of the room for roughly 18 minutes, and then she came back in. She wanted to speak about family. Are we sure this is not Dom Toretto she is speaking to? I feel like he should be investigated on this. And then she was no longer seen anymore. We need to file a missing persons report. WWE needs to be held accountable for what is happening here. They aired this. And let's get to the bottom of this. QR codes were popping up in the middle of this. They were all old QR codes. But
tying it all together. Well, do you think the chair will make an appearance on SmackDown?
SmackDown should open with this empty chair. And that's the whole show.
You know what it is? It's, by the way, I actually like the idea that she got kidnapped by Dexter Lumis. Because of all the people who could have done it in that group, Dexter is like the guy who would have done it. But I don't know. Just it's the Saudi prince's throne, and that's really where they're keeping her. Maybe, yeah, we should have. Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. Jeremy froze, so clearly this is the best show we could have had. You're back.
There we go. What'd you say?
I was talking about the fact that it's the Saudi prince's chair.
Oh, he just shows up. That's next week. Although they're taping SmackDown. They're taping next week's SmackDown tonight.
No, they're not. They're live. They're doing it live from Riyadh, aren't they?
I read that they are taping it tonight. I observed that they are taping it tonight for next week.
I have a hard time taking that one seriously. Unless something was canceled and is no longer on the event slate because of poor ticket sales. Let's take a look. What's next Friday?
Where ticket sales? They're already over there. Like, I don't feel like SmackDown's going to sell poorly over there.
It's on the thing. You can buy the tickets. What?
I observed.
I know, I get where you're coming from, but like, it's on the website. It's stupid. May 24th, 7 p.m. local, Jeddah Superdome, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It's Friday Night SmackDown. Bailey's on the front with the women's championship. So it's interesting.
Not interesting. It's just it was wrong information. That's all.
Yes. Well, yes, I know. Well, 9 a.m. Our Corey Brennan did tweet out just to clarify tonight's SmackDown will not be a double taping. Next week's Friday Night SmackDown will be live from Saudi Arabia. So.
Yes, he tweeted that out because.
Yes, because of the observation that was made. I get it.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe it was taped because the Wyatt 6 is coming. The actual SmackDown is going to be a 2-hour chair stream.
We need more chairs just sitting, doing nothing. Who cares about this wrestling? Who cares about this King and Queen of the Ring tournament? Chair. Sitting there. What do you think the crowd? What do you think the crowd would do if you just had a chair sitting there for 2 hours?
You ever see that episode of Community? It was an early season episode where they were doing an experiment, and the experiment was to not scare everyone, but to psych everybody out by making them sit in the room and tell them that the experiment will start shortly, and then it didn't start. And over time, people said, "Forget this, I'm leaving." And the experiment was actually on human psyche and how long they can handle being told something's coming, and then it's not. Some people freak out and all that. That's what you're basically pitching to us.
I've seen every episode of Community, but I've seen every episode when it aired, and my memory sucks. So
you know that scene. They're all sitting in the room, and then I think it's the Donald Glover's character just freaks out and is like on the floor. He's the last
right
one.
yeah,
and Abed's totally fine. He's just like,
yeah,
whatever. It was that. Yeah, Troy freaks out. Troy freaks out.
That's Donald Glover's character, Troy. That's how it happened. The chair sits there, and everybody's just like, "We want tables."
This is awesome. They'll just chant themselves to sleep for 2 hours. The whole show is just going to be every chant you can think of. They'll all band together and learn the AJ Styles French chants. They'll actually learn French just for that.
They got to wrestle around the chair. That's what needs to happen. We got to throw just obstacles in here. Wrestling's just getting too easy. Let's just put a chair in the middle of the ring, and you have to build all the matches around this chair.
What happens if you touch the chair?
Well, some matches, maybe you don't touch the chair. Other matches, maybe you involve the chair. And let's throw some stuff in there. This is what I was trying to say. AEW for Double or Nothing, they're doing a triple main event. That's what they're billing it as, so that way they don't offend anybody. Although there's only one main event.
Is it the first match?
It's dumb to build anything. It's like, oh, triple main event, double main event, co-main event. No, it's just the not the main event. It's the match before the main event. If you want them to be triple main event, have them all at the same time. Why don't we do that?
It's World War III. It's WCW World War III. I
love that pay-per-view.
Get all 3 rings together and have the 3 main events. Hell, you don't even need a ring for one of those matches. You can just have it all throughout the arena. It's Anarchy. Let's have Anarchy in the Arena featuring the TBS Championship and the AEW World Championship. Do that.
I love that. That was the first pay-per-view I ever attended. The first show I ever attended live. WCW World War III, 1995. That's when Hogan did the Observe This thing. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Little did we know history would actually be kind to Hulk Hogan on this one.
7-year-old me was very confused as to why old Hulkster was doing all of this.
Hulkster just knew it, man. He for once in his life, this is one thing he got right.
So just have them all going on at the same time. You can actually have them do what they did WrestleMania 2, where they had the different shows at different locations and stuff.
Oh, that was a great show, especially because of the time zones. It worked perfectly.
So you have Double or Nothing. You have one just Anarchy in the Arena. You can do that in an empty arena, whatever. Hold that wherever. Do one show at T-Mobile. Do another show at MGM. and then air them at the same time. I don't want it like staggered. I want it all aired, and then you have the triple box and see which event draws more.
So hold on.
This is how you prove who the draws are.
I think I missed one of your venues. What did you say? You said MGM. You said T-Mobile Arena. What was the third?
Just an empty arena. Let them fight on the strip. It's Anarchy in the Arena, so who really cares where it takes place?
Okay. I was about to be like, oh, your Las Vegas arenas. No, the Michelob Arena is the other one you could use.
Oh. I mean, I was going to say the UFC Apex, but I guess that's WWE territory. So
yeah, I don't think they'll be running that. No, I don't think they'll be
just hold that Allegiant. Go to Allegiant. You don't need fans for this.
No, then Anarchy in the Arena becomes a stadium stampede.
Yeah, sure. That's what we need. Just let the fans choose. I had an idea long time ago. This is a dumb idea, as most of my ideas are. But it was UFC based to like see who the draws are in UFC, like to really actually see like who's drawing on pay-per-view and stuff. But like you order by matches or by fights. Like if I don't want to watch the first fight, I don't gotta pay for it. I don't care about these dudes. Let me order the pay-per-view at like 10:30 and get like half off and just watch the last half of the pay-per-view. This is what we need in wrestling. Okay? This is what we need in wrestling. If I don't feel like watching the first half of this pay-per-view, don't make me pay for the entire pay-per-view. If I want to start watching at 10 o'clock, I get the show half off, and then I actually get to watch the matches that I want to see. If I don't care about Copeland and Malachi, I shouldn't have to pay for it. That's how it should work.
So you want an a la carte experience for your wrestling pay-per-views and payment.
I want to have the option. Technology is advanced enough nowadays to where like I should be able to order the pay-per-view on a match by match basis. What if I don't want to watch all of these matches? What if I just want to watch Anarchy in the Arena? I should have the option to pay $5 when the match starts, and then my feed cuts off when the match is over. Technology's advanced enough. I mean, maybe not AEW technology or Bleacher Report technology, but I would think technology is advanced enough to where I should be able to do this. Why not?
Okay. Listen, I'm willing to give it a shot if it works. Don't think it will, but I'm willing to give it a try. I'm not going to give it a try. Who am I kidding? Just give me back my YouTube streams. That's all.
I want all of evil on Double or Nothing.
So
if he shows up, that's what I should get.
So last night, Tony Khan announced, and it was at towards the end of our TNA post show, so it made our stream even funnier when I brought it up. They announced that it's an IWGP World Title Eliminator match. Moxley, who is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, is going to take on Konosuke Takeshita. One thing I appreciated from Dynamite at the time was that they didn't announce the match as a title match. They didn't even announce the match. And I thought it was like, okay, we're not going to do it. And at that point, I thought, like, why even do the match? They have the evil match. It's been announced. They're doing it at Dominion. Why would you sub into Takeshita at that point? Like, it didn't feel like if they did the title match that it would be a good idea. Making it an eliminator match to me is at least better. I would have preferred it to just been an IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. But also, Takeshita should probably rack up a few wins before being given that shot. But they're not exactly sending him over to Japan to work either. What were your thoughts when they announced the match for Double or Nothing?
I thought, why is Takeshita getting this match anyway?
Big old loser.
Yeah, this giant loser gets this match. Why? Last time I watched him wrestle, he lost. Last time he was on pay-per-view, he lost. Why is this loser getting this big match against Jon Moxley? Because he's lost his last two matches in AEW, Joel. He lost his last pay-per-view match.
When was the last time he won?
I would not pay for this match. If I had the option, on my payment plan, my pay-per-view payment plan, trademark pending, I would not pay for this match. I wouldn't want it.
Okay.
It'll be fun. I like Takeshita. I wish they do more with him. I think he's kayfabing when he's like, I'm not able to I thought if I had great matches, I would be more in the starting lineup and everything. He's just kind of being a little bit heelish kind of character, but there's a little bit of truth in every kayfabe, right? Isn't that the line?
Yeah, right? Somewhere in the middle, the truth is there.
Somewhere in the middle, the truth is kayfabe.
Exactly.
So like, I think he's playing. He's doing a little bit of that, but yeah, he beat Kenny Omega. He beat Chris Jericho allegedly, and
he beat Rocky Romero, so he should be getting a CMLL world title shot.
Everyone beats Rocky Romero.
That's true. Rocky. Tune into AEW Collision this weekend to discover who will beat up Rocky Romero next. The answer may surprise you. Oh, damn it, why'd you spoil it?
I didn't spoil anything. They announced it.
Yeah, you're right. They did. But we don't know we don't know who won. I mean, we do, but we don't know if Shibata got beat by Rocky Romero. He could have used his front office powers to get himself a victory over Shibata.
No.
Yeah, you're right. Shibata won the match. Who am I kidding?
Takeshita in the G1 would be pretty sweet, actually. I think they should do that. That'd be cool.
I'd like to see it.
I don't know if they will, because he is a DDT guy. I don't know how that works.
Well, he's an AEW guy now, but I understand. Well, yes, he came up through DDT. That was his bread and butter. But I mean, so did Kenny. Kenny had a long, time in DDT. Yes, moved over to New Japan and made quite the name for himself there. But Takeshita could do the same with the G1 run. Have him have a good one. Still want Josh Alexander in a G1, but we'll see. We'll see how that looks for him this year. Anyway. Yeah, so the match is happening. Like you said, Takeshita hasn't exactly lit the world on fire with victories. The last one that he had in a singles was the Rocky match, and that was Rampage in Toronto. Other than that, yeah, Commander.
That was 2 months ago.
Was 2 months ago. It was March 20th.
You lost the Swerve. You lost in the bunkhouse brawl. His big pay-per-view match against Will Ospreay. He lost. Takeshita is a great wrestler. I really like Takeshita. Man, I thought they were going with the Omega victory and then the Darby Allin victory. I was like, oh, they're going with this dude. And then they just didn't. Even beat the Jericho win. And that was the beginning of the end for him, sadly. But like, it looked like they were really going with him. And then what's the point of the Don Callis family?
That's a completely separate conversation with a very important member that we're discussing right now. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I do want to get your thoughts, because I know you kind of mentioned, the kayfabe's a little bit in the middle when it comes to Takeshita's comments. But, he did touch on the idea of Asian representation in wrestling and how American audience, U.S. audiences may not latch on to a wrestler that is really good at wrestling, but doesn't necessarily have the language skills or the dramatic flair. So the soap opera chops, if you will. I'm paraphrasing, but that Takeshita's kind of feeling was, I came here to be the best, and I'm not really being, I'm not having those opportunities to be the best. What do you think of those comments from him?
And I think he's kayfabing a little bit. Like, there's some truth there, but this was the point of aligning him with Don Callis, so he had like a heel mouthpiece to where he didn't have to worry about promos. And it was there with the Kenny stuff. Like, he beat Kenny Omega. He should have gone into a big title match after beating Kenny Omega. The international title, he should have it was the champion at the time. Cassidy?
Champion at the time?
Yeah, Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, would have been, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Orange Cassidy Phoenix swap. It was all around that time. He should have won the title. He should have won the title at that time after beating Kenny Omega. Because he beat Omega at All Out. So that's when, I guess that's when Orange Cassidy lost the title, right? Yeah, that's when Moxley won it. And then they did the Phoenix injury, but then the Moxley injury, then Phoenix and Orange Cassidy. I would have put the belt on him after that. I would have had to beat Moxley, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, and Chi-Town Spurs makes a point that we talk about often. Having a promotion, you can't have a promotion with 25 to 30 guys who need protecting. Either Tony or the wrestlers need to be okay with losing more. And that's the thing. Not everyone can be a Bryan Danielson and just lose all the time, but there needs to be certain people
lose all the time.
But there needs to be a better balance where protecting does not mean peaks and valleys that are so sharp in winning and losing to make your stars or to make your matches. Takeshita is someone that, as we're talking about, hasn't he wins 2 big matches, loses another big match, or wins 2 not so big matches, loses the big match. That seems to be kind of how the contenders get built, and it's not functional. It's not workable in this company. It's very strange.
There's got to be the hierarchy of stuff, and sometimes there is. Most of the time, there's not, though. It feels like guys just, who the losers are. And I hate saying that, but you just know who the losers are in the company.
That's okay.
And
you need losers. Again, we talk about this all the time, the jobber stuff. We talk about the 30-second squash matches. You need those guys and girls.
What we need is more winners, actually. That's what we need. We don't need all these losers on television. Losers out of here.
Well, we have plenty of winners. They all have title belts.
That's true, I guess. That's true. I wish they'd do more with Takeshita. I assume he's losing to Moxley. Maybe he beats Moxley, and then they do a New Japan title match down the line. But I don't see it.
I'm wondering who Moxley faces at Forbidden Door for the
Naito. Probably.
You think it's Naito again, just to kind of go back to where we started, and the whole last few months were just a fever dream?
At some point, New Japan needs to be like, we're not having our dudes continue to lose to your guys. Like, it feels like Naito gets that victory back and then gets the title back, and Jon Moxley beat their dude. I mean, I know it was it was a US show that it happened on, but I think Forbidden Door, it's Naito. I hope Evil does win. Evil should win the title at Dominion. That's what should happen. But I assume
Ryan Lambert in the chat saying Evil helping Takeshita get a victory, and then they make ass of callous torture, which is basically what you watch on Wednesday nights anyway. But I could see Evil making an appearance and helping Takeshita in some way just to screw Moxley.
No.
I could see it.
Are you taking your glasses off for that bit? Is that how you can see it? Like, what are you doing?
I'm jabbing a utensil in my eye and extracting them, and then I'm going to see this.
I don't think there's a single chance Evil comes out and helps Takeshita at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, but imagine if he did.
I'm just gonna look and see if Evil's wrestling that weekend now. Although the New Japan website sucks now. I don't know what they did to it. It's god awful.
It hasn't been good in a while.
I mean, it hasn't, but it's really bad nowadays.
Take a look. Sorry, that's
can't. There's nothing. It's in Japanese and stuff.
Well, do you use Chrome? It has the automatic thing.
Oh, it's a picture, Joel. So
that's right. Oh, got you good. Oh, they're undergoing maintenance right now.
They've been undergoing maintenance for a month on this website.
Amazing. Well, Best of the Super Juniors.
Yeah, it's Best of Super Juniors. It doesn't look like, sometimes they do the multi-man tag matches, but it looks like this particular night of Best of Super Juniors, it's all Super Junior matches. But it doesn't look like he's wrestling, at least on the day of Double or Nothing. So technically, theoretically, he could show up. I'm very skeptical that happens.
Unless he wants to be there for his boys' show or Kanemaru.
He should. As the good leader of House of Torture, he should.
Well, maybe he wants to go and get his IWGP World Heavyweight Championship back sooner. He's gonna steal that belt. They're gonna do the belt stealer again.
Is it still all black, or did Moxley wash it? What are we doing?
Did he? I don't think he didn't have it with him this week, did he? Was he on the show this week?
Yeah, he teamed with Danielson in the opening match.
It was the opening match. That's why I forgot. I don't even remember.
I don't remember either.
I could easily just look it up on the AEW website. Just look at the photos. But anyway, really what was the big deal at the end of Dynamite this week was we have a replacement for Eddie Kingston, who posted that his leg is quite messed up. He's got a full-on brace. Best wishes to him. Hopefully he heals up quick. There's a part of me that hopes that he is just putting it on and making it look worse than it really is. But
no,
I know. The dude worked. The dude got walloped by that by the guardrail. It did not look good.
no.
I can only hope for the best, but I know the reality is.
I thought maybe it was a bit at first when the Young Bucks were like, "Oh, looks like he got hit by the injury bug." I was like, "Okay, maybe he's not actually injured. The Young Bucks are just being dorks and being little shitheads and just saying that." And Eddie's gonna come out at the end of the night and attack him. But then when Eddie posted that photo, I was like, Eddie don't care enough about kayfabe and this kind of stuff to post this photo right now. Like if this was a fake injury, Eddie would not be posting this. He'd show up. Like he would not go to Instagram and post his leg in a brace like this. He ain't trying to work that hard on this kind of stuff. So once that photo popped up, I was like, yeah, Eddie's hurt. And then of course Darby came out at the end of the night.
So Darby Allin comes out. He's going to be the replacement. Darby Allin with a limp and a broken nose. He said himself he's not 100%. He's going to be a part of Anarchy in the Arena. Listen, is he the best choice from a character standpoint? Yes. He is Mr. AEW. He has the crowd behind him. He is a popular, very popular character and good for a match like this. You know, and I get it. Some people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're clutching pearls." No, but also kind of want to see a guy work at his top potential and his top, physical abilities, and not at less than 100% coming off of injury. And yes, again, I know other people are going to say, "Oh, what about Seth Rollins at WrestleMania?" I didn't love that either. At the time, Rollins, for example, was also World Heavyweight Champion, and it was going into their biggest show of the year. That was, a big matchup, yada, yada, yada. It wasn't a 5-person melee. I felt a little weird about the Darby Allin situation. Him coming in, I get wanting to be a team player, but it still felt weird. He's like, "I'm still hurt." It's like, well, what? Then why? What does this help anybody? I don't know. I just I want your thoughts. I heard a little bit about them on Thursday, but let's extrapolate a bit.
Do you clutch yourself when you clutch pearls?
I do, but I can't do it on camera because the pearls are a little lower on the body.
Can you like clutch?
Talk about my testicles, Jeremy Lambert.
Your shirt.
My shirt.
I guess it's the pearl shirt. Can you wear a pearl necklace on this show and then we can do pearl clutches pearls?
Nope, I don't have pearls other than the ones.
Just go buy some. Buy like a $2 pearl necklace. Oh, you can get them for free if you really try.
Well, wow, Jeremy's shooting on Joel shooting. Awful.
What are we talking about? What's happening?
I'm talking about clutching pearls. I mean, Darby Allin.
Okay.
Clutching Darby Allin's pearls.
All right. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Zarian can find you people who pearl. You can get a quick pearl necklace.
No, Alex, could you please come on here and tell the class? Could you please enlighten us? We don't know. Please come and tell us all about it, please. No, that's bad. That's awful taste. I'm sorry.
This is why we need Zarian we get the guests that I've been trying to get for like a month now on this show.
Zarian's too busy doing his own show. He doesn't want to do ours anymore. He just wants to promote that he shows up on ours, but then doesn't.
Coward.
Coward.
Don't give me the guest that I truly like above any guest we could ever get. This is the person I want the most. It's nothing to do with wrestling. Don't care. I want this person on the show so bad. What are we talking about? What's happening?
Darby Allin and his pearl clutching.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. Okay, I'm more curious on your take because
I gave you my take.
Oh, all right. Well, the way I look at it is one, I think Darby makes the most sense from a character standpoint. I don't think you can find a better character, a better representative to be in this spot than Darby Allin. Like legitimately. I don't think there's anybody else there. So that makes a lot of sense. As far as being injured and everything, like, look, it sucks that he's still hurt. Should they maybe not put him in this match where he's definitely going to do something stupid because it's Anarchy in the Arena and he's Darby Allin? Yeah, maybe. At the same time, I'm of the mind of if the wrestler wants to do this, let him go out there and do it. I'm not going to police a guy who wants to go out there and do this stuff. It's their life, it's their body, it's what they want to do for this. Okay. I understand protecting the wrestler from themselves a lot of times, and you should probably do it. Honestly, you should. But at the end of the day, the wrestler's going to make this decision. He wants to do it. Tony's not going to say no, clearly. So, all right, let him go out there.
Thing. If Tony doesn't want to say no, there's a medical team that could be evaluating this. And again, we don't know. For all we know, someone's going to come out this week and say, Darby was evaluated by medical. He was told not to do it, but he was told they're not going to stop him from doing it. So Darby said, I'm going to do it. If they say that and the report comes out, then sure. It's on Darby. It's fully his choice. And the proper, measures were taken so that he understands the risk beyond just knowing the risk. In other words, the liability is gone.
Darby understands the risk.
I'm sure Darby understands the risk, but I'm talking about the AEW side of liability, which is when something like that happens, medical does get scrutinized for not doing their job, which in this case is telling a wrestler, advising them not to, and that information isn't out there yet. Granted, nobody's asked about it yet that I've seen, and there's
been but what's the injury? So when we can use the Seth Rollins example,
it's a busted nose and a broken foot. He got hit by a bus. There's potentially concussion issues at hand as well, but I don't know, and I'll never find out, I'm sure.
So the concussion issue is the one that is the real discussion here. Seth Rollins worked through a back injury. McIntyre's working through a hyperextended elbow before it got too bad, and they said, nah, can't do it anymore. Guys work through knee injuries. All of that. Guys work through injuries. This is not new information in the world of wrestling. This isn't new information in the world of sports. Any hockey player that's playing right now probably has. I love the NHL playoffs.
Oh yeah,
after
the series, and they have the rundown of all the injuries, and they're just like, so and so actually was playing on a torn tendon that's like hanging on by a thread. I live for that shit. Yes, I get it.
Like guys go through these injuries, and they work through these injuries not only in wrestling but in all of sports. Some guys will actually work through stuff. And then, you got your other players who are maybe a little bit smarter and are just like, hey, Jared Allen for the Cavaliers, Donovan Mitchell for the Cavaliers. They did not play in the final two. Jared Allen, I don't think, played the entire series. Donovan Mitchell didn't play in the final two games because of injury. And they were scrutinized because of that, of like, oh, you didn't suit up. How could you not play it? Meanwhile, you got Luka Doncic out there every night. You got Jamal Murray out there. Jamal Murray's playing through a calf injury. Luka Doncic is playing through some type of leg injury. So some people are willing to play through the injuries. Others are not going to play through the injuries. The concussion is the big one. You shouldn't be out there if there's any risk of a concussion. I know there's always risk of a concussion, but like if you're still getting over concussion symptoms, you shouldn't be on the floor. You shouldn't be on the ice. You shouldn't be in the ring if that's what it is. But if you got a broken foot and you're just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to work through it. If you got a broken nose and you're just like, forget it. I'm just going to work through this. Okay. I'm not going to police these guys. Like, if this is what they want to do, this is not adherent to just wrestling, I guess is my point. Again, I'll go back to the basketball example. Luka Doncic, he's killing the Thunder right now. They're going to close them out in 6. Sports are stupid. But the reports even say, like, hey, if this is regular season, Luka would probably be shut down for 2 weeks. He wouldn't play in these games. It's the playoffs. You know what? He's going to go out there. He's going to play. He's going to muscle through it. And whatever happens, happens. Joel, again, you know it as a hockey fan. All these injuries, they come out. We're going to learn that Kel McCarr has been playing through about 15 fractured ribs in a couple of days when the Avs get eliminated. And then, or in a broken hand on top of that. It's like, what the hell is wrong with these people? We see it all the time. If Darby Allin is like, you know what? This main event match, Anarchy in the Arena, he's not going to have to really wrestle. It's an Anarchy in the Arena. It's a lot of walking and brawling. He'll fall off stuff, I'm sure. It'll be a lot of smoke and mirrors kind of stuff. If he decides, like, you know what? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go through it. Okay. We saw it with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins had all those injuries, but he's like, WrestleMania. Shit. I got to go out there. I got to perform. Okay.
I get it.
Not my place to police them.
Yes, and I agree. It's not our place to police them. I still want to know that something has been looked into in terms of bringing him back that quickly. Because I think that's the other difference too. You know, it is a little bit of perception in terms of Darby has not been on TV since the injury. He was supposed to be off climbing Everest. He broke his foot in the match against Jay White after Revolution. And then it was, we wish him well. We won't see him for a long time, blah, blah, blah. And 2 months later, here we are. And it's sudden. I think that's really what it is. It's the effect of, and also the hit by a bus thing. But the hit by a bus. But also, I know he told the story.
Regina George got hit by a bus. She was fine.
Hit by a bus.
She showed up to prom.
Yeah, but she was in a wheelchair.
She was in like the neck brace thing, right?
Was it the neck brace? Maybe
she was in the headgear.
The halo.
Yeah.
Well, thank God he's not in a halo. He's just got a bill. But also, like, he told the story and he kind of downplayed how bad it was. Versus, like, I get the idea of being hit by a bus. Look, it sounds really bad, but you don't know if the bus was going 5 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour. There's a big difference between what kind of damage that does. I look at other people on the roster, and again, going back to sports, this is. The big stars get the treatment of whatever they want, whether they're injured or not. Do they sit or do they play? And if they are very busted up, but they drop 50 points a night on average, then they're going to play. Their hand could be broken, but they're going to play because they say they're good. And you take them at their word. I get that. I don't like it. I can say I do not like that mentality. I never have. You also have other people on your roster that you could use in this particular case who could also fill the void and do a very good job. Claudio's another one. We discussed it on Wednesday. Yeah. The story that they started telling on Collision, where Claudio, he can be upset but begrudgingly help his friends to take on Team Elite. There is a little, there's a sliver of story. You can work with that. Daniel Garcia is another guy that for some people, he's needed that chance. Danielson has always had a soft spot for him. Danielson can go up to him and say, I need your help. And Daniel Garcia will say, what's in it for me? And he'll say, an opportunity to be with me, to work with me, to learn for the best, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't need to join Blackpool Combat Club, but certainly like fight with us, show you that you are Team AEW and that you're sick of the Bucks or whatever it is. Opportunity. There are stories that you can hit on with perfectly good and healthy wrestlers that are on the roster and on the show frequently enough that it makes sense and it doesn't endanger someone who's already injured. And I get that they want to go, and I get that, Tony, medical, them, whatever, whoever made the choice said okay. But like, I can still not like the fact that they're letting it happen. And that's where I'm at, is I didn't like that he came out and said, yeah, I'm still hurt, but I hate these guys and I want to fight. Well, it's like, no, other people can fight too. You can fight when you're good and ready instead of letting yourself on fire and jumping through the crowd or whatever you're going to do. Because it's Darby. He will do something stupid because it's Darby.
Yeah. Okay. I see your point on this. As far as like other guys are concerned, Claudio would certainly be a choice because Eddie's out. Claudio can be like, see, I told you, you shouldn't even bothered with Eddie. I'll be here to protect you. I've always had your back type of thing. It's fine. Garcia. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with Danny Garcia, man.
That's the thing where I'm like, you could easily slot him in and start something or do something.
This is where, and Mark Briscoe would have been another option because he's been teaming with FTR and everything. Like he's friends with FTR. So that would have been an option as well. This is where it feels like they felt they needed a big time replacement. And no offense to Claudio, Garcia, or Mark Briscoe, they're not big enough in this instant. Like Darby Allin is a huge name for them, and Darby Allin makes a lot of sense. I can't remember who brought it up in our chat yesterday. I apologize. I think it might have been Wysellable, but I do apologize of who brought it up in our chat yesterday on Spotlight. Of the parallels between the two teams, you got the arguably two greatest tag teams, arguably two greatest wrestlers, and then two pillars, like each on each side. So Darby there as the parallel makes a whole lot of sense. with this. And I said this before Darby, or I guess it was after Darby got hurt. But I said, like, it's very unfortunate that they lost Darby coming out of Revolution. Because after Revolution, after teaming with Sting, he was a big star for them. And it felt like they could do a whole lot with him coming off of that. Really capitalize on... Oh, okay, it was Chi-Town Spurs. Thank you, Chi-Town Spurs. I apologize for saying it was Y-Soluble, but my memory...
It was actually me. Chi-Town Spurs is just taking credit for
So it was Chi-Town Spurs. So I'll get that correct and correct that. Thank you. Darby had a lot of momentum coming out of Revolution, had a lot of momentum teaming with Sting. They were going to lose him to Everest, climbing Everest anyway. They happened to lose him for the broken foot instead. But him coming back now is a big deal for them because I do think he is one of their top guys on there. And I do think he should be a featured guy on their programming. So I think it's good that he's back. I think it's good that he's going to step up and be in this spot. I think it makes a lot of sense. I understand your point of saying, hey, maybe AEW should be like, let's protect yourself from yourself, keep you off. We got other guys who can fill this spot. Let's get you healthy and everything. Darby wants to do it. Clearly, they're not going to say that. And they're going to go forward with it. I hope he doesn't end up more hurt out of this. If they do, I assume they'll turn that into an angle off of things. But you know, it's gonna be what
it's gonna be. What it's gonna be. Right as he froze, and he made your point.
Losing this match.
You say Danielson's still losing the match?
Oh, then I said Bryan Danielson's gonna lose. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's gonna lose the match. Absolutely. Jack Perry's gonna pin Bryan Danielson. It's going to be Bryan Danielson gets pinned by Jack Perry, and Jack Perry says, I pin the GOAT. The scapegoat pin the GOAT. And it's going to be it. Yeah, someone in the chat's asking, is he 100%? No, Darby Allin's not 100%, which is why we're having this conversation. And here's the thing, again, what Chi-Town Spurs said yesterday on the show and what you were rehashing, I agree with it. Again, from a story standpoint, this is great. It makes perfect sense. Everything fits. Unfortunately, the reality of being still injured, it taints it for me. That's why I don't love it. That's why it was a good surprise moment. You were in Washington State, you were in Darby's home area, so the pop was huge. Like everything was right except for the reality of injury. For me, I saw that, I was like, oh damn it, you're like 90% there, and to me that 10% is a big deal because I want to see healthy people work and have longevity. I get it. Darby's namesake isn't exactly a beacon of longevity or health. So I get that.
Bro, Darby's getting hit by a bus, not wrestling. All right. You can't. He might be better off just wrestling because clearly, if he's just out walking around, he's getting hit by buses.
Well, his whole thing is that he pushed someone out of the way because they were going too slow or some shit. That's how he got hit by the bus.
Darby's out here jumping houses, doing Nitro Circus. You're not going to stop Darby from being Darby. It's just, it's not possible.
I get it. I get it. Darby's going to do what Darby's going to do. That's fine. That's what I get it. Yeah, people like Darby and longevity, LOL. Yeah, that's the thing. I get it. It's just a very, I don't want to see him wrestle into his 70s, but like, you know, I'd like to see him make it past 35. That might be useful for himself. You mentioned Mark Briscoe. I'm not on the ROH circuit, but where is he? He hasn't had a match in Dynasty. Is there an injury that has been talked about or reported on?
He's the champion, and champions don't have to work ROH. So that's where he is. He won the title, and that just means he no longer has to work ROH.
And I'm not throwing shade at Ring of Honor. I'm curious because you mentioned him, and I was thinking about this on the bus heading back home this morning. I was like, what's the deal? What's the deal with Mark Briscoe? Because Kyle Fletcher shows up and loses all the time on AEW programming. But like, what's Mark Briscoe doing? Oh, paternity leave is a pretty good show.
His wife just had another baby.
Kid. Yeah, that's right.
That's very possible.
That is true.
It's also, again, just possible that he won the title, and that just means he no longer has to work ROH. So, You know,
some people after 35 years in any industry, they're given a plaque and told, "Hey, retirement's gone." Ring of Honor, they give you a title and they say, "Take your time, bro." I'm sure he'll
by
work
the way,
for Dishonor in Texas.
by the way, speaking of injuries and real and fake injuries, Ivar just posted that he was at who was he visiting? Dr. Andrew Cordover. And
The guy that he gave a shout out to this past Tuesday on the show.
I don't know. Is that what he did?
He definitely did shout out the doctor that helped him and Wesley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he said hashtag spine. So I don't know if the injury, I saw reports that it was kayfabe brother, and now Ivar is saying, "Hey, thanks for helping me through my injury." So
yeah, he made reference to that in a promo this past week on NXT with the Wesley situation. So it's possible. I don't know if the injury from upcoming is a work or not, but it could be what it is.
Yeah. Just thought we'd update people that
Mark Briscoe is the Ring of Honor champion.
Allegedly,
yes.
Yeah.
Allegedly. I want to go to the ROH post show since we do the TNA post show afterwards, and I just want to ask. I want to ask whoever's co-hosting with Kate to keep this job. You must tell me every champion in Ring of Honor right now.
I know all the Ring of Honor champions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark Briscoe is the world champion.
Yeah.
Loser ass Kyle Fletcher is the TV champion.
He's accurate.
The 6-man titles technically don't exist, but Bullet Club Gold has them.
Yep.
The Kingdom are the tag team champions.
Allegedly, yes.
Wheeler Yuta's the peer champion.
Yes.
And Athena's the women's champion.
And
what?
There's one more championship. We've interviewed this person before on the show.
Oh, Billy Stark. She's the women's TV champion.
Yes, there we go. Okay, congratulations. You are now Kate's co-host on the Ring of Honor post show every Thursday night on youtube.com/Fightful, 9 p.m. on Thursdays. And then the TNA post show with myself and Cresta every Thursday around 10 o'clock, 10:10.
Yeah, I could name all the champions. I don't even watch this show, but I know who the champions are just because
they're on AEW television, except for the women. That's right.
Yeah, you cover the news long enough. You've gotta know who the champions are. So it is what
congratulations, and I'm sorry. Chi-Town Spurs also said to Super Chat earlier when we were talking about the need for losers. He says, I find myself appreciating the Shane Taylor promotions, the Anna Jays, the private parties of the world more than the top guys because they're at least okay putting people over. And also, that's part of their position on the card right now is that they'll win a match here and there, but they're there to put talent over, make them look good. That's good. That's a good worker right there, in my opinion.
I like all of those people. They're all fine. They're all a bunch of losers, but fine.
They are a bunch of losers. What a bunch of loser-ass losers.
Dork-ass losers losing these wrestling matches.
And dork-ass losers. Oh, man. Not a dork-ass loser is Zack Heydorn. He's going to join us in an hour. Well, he's really okay. He's going to talk about his new book, Stunning, the Artistry of Steve Austin. It's available now on Amazon. It's about it's $25 US, about $31.11 for the paperback version in Canada. I did the conversion myself by going to Amazon Canada and looking it up. Okay. John sent a super chat earlier saying, I predict Jade Cargill winning the Queen of the Ring versus Io Sky. NXT talent is being presented strongly, even if they get or are eliminated, which I love. We've been talking about the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, which we've now decided is going to be the winner sits on the chair, the Wyatt 6 chair. But we haven't spent much time on the Queen of the Ring lately, as much as we did on the King of the Ring.
Have we? I felt like we spent plenty of time on Queen of the Ring. We've talked about Jade losing, Bianca, what's going to happen there. I feel like I've talked way too much about this tournament, honestly.
All right. So we've decided Tiffany Stratton is not winning the tournament.
It's still possible. I mean, I know that there was the thing that came out and didn't look great. Doesn't seem like there's any heat on her. So
I know people are looking into it. I don't know where it came from? That's been my big question. And this isn't like making excuses or anything, but it's more like I saw one account post it, everyone retweet it from that same account. And normally when stuff like that happens, a tweet delete, like multiple people catch it in time because they have notifications on, whatever. Like, I've only seen one person have this, and to me that's strange. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it's not real, but like, I'm wondering what's going on, how this started.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's the thing. People are saying, okay, from an IG story, she deleted, but this is the issue. We have seen one person on Twitter post it. It started from one account and not multiple, which is how I would typically see it. I'm not calling anyone a liar. I'm wondering why I'm only seeing from one person's account that I went around.
It's very, very possible. Someone saying the original post on our Instagram was up for 3 minutes. Like, if it was up for 3 minutes, I feel like more people would have caught that, because so many people just live to catch this kind of stuff and, have notifications on and
exactly
want to see it. So I don't know. I know that is like, I guess it's a meme type of thing. It's very, very, truthfully, I haven't even like seen it. I know the context and everything. I've not seen it. Was it a repost? I guess she just regularly posted it. Did she not listen to the thing and she just thought, haha, this was funny? So this is not a defense of Tiffany Stratton. But I will say that this is just how I'm trying to set this up properly. I'm not trying to defend Tiffany on this. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of people, a lot of even public figure people, will stupidly repost something or do something without actually like looking through it. And then once they actually see what it was, they will then, oh shit, I screwed up. My bad on that. And here's an example beyond Tiffany Stratton that literally just happened this past week. Chet Holmgren, if you're Reggie Miller. Chet Holmgren, he plays for the Thunder. They're in the playoffs right now. They just lost game 5. He has not played well. Okay, so Simeon saying it's a fan edit with that she reposted. The emojis she added could indicate she listens to the audio. It can also indicate that she just added emojis because, haha, that's what you're supposed to do, and didn't listen to the audio. So back to my Chet story. He reposted a meme of like, it was the box score. It was the final score of the last Mavs and Thunder game. The Mavs won. And it was the guy like who couldn't sleep. Like, he was just like awake thinking about it. And the caption on this was, "We're cooked." So it was a Thunder fan just saying like, yeah, we're cooked. Like, we're going to lose this series. Chet reposted this. And then, of course, this blew up on socials and people were like, oh man, even Chet knows like we've lost this series and everything. And Chet had to come on Twitter and just be like, I didn't even read the caption. I reposted this because I couldn't sleep after the loss. If you believe him, okay. If you don't believe him, okay. My point of this is people are fucking stupid. And they don't read through things. They don't listen to things. They just are like, oh, this seems funny. Oh, I'm feeling like this right now. Here's me hitting Jade Cargill with an elbow. That's cool. I got a match with her coming up, maybe. So I'm going to post this. Like, it could be as simple as that. It could be deeper than that. I truly do not know. I'm just trying to add extra context of people, including public figures, are just stupid online.
That is a good point. They are stupid online. I forgot to add the online part. I want to bring up something that's actually very funny to me. I mentioned it on the TNA post show. Diener has his Wrestling is Life is Wrestling podcast, and he did an Ask Diener Anything show where he recently mentioned, the new character that I play, where I'm the people's champion, or I'm the people's the people's wrestler. I ask people if they want me to face this guy or this guy, if they want to have this match or this match. He's like, that's a shoot, that's real, that's totally real. And then he tells a story about how the match that he had against GYV was completely a shoot in the way that it was set up. He said, we were in the production meeting and I told him to set it up. Is it going to be GYV1 or GYV2? And then they weren't ready for this because all of a sudden we said, which one do you want? And because Philadelphia is so rowdy, they said both of them. So we didn't know what to do, but we said, give me both of them. And it was a total shoot and we did it on the fly. Bullshit. Because if I remember correctly, that match ended with somebody coming out to deal with, to save Diener after the match. So this is what I'm talking about when it's like there are multiple sides to every tale and it's still wrestling and everyone's going to lie to you. But some people, some people are just dumb when it comes to the outside wrestling stuff.
King Potato saying what's telling, she never apologized for the post though. It's telling in some aspects. It's also
drawing attention to something that's not being seen on a major level. Which I hate to say it like that, but like we talk about how incredibly online people are. Like it's not something that's going to reach the entire WWE platform of fans. Like, it's not going to be shown on TV or anything like that. It's just one of those things.
It's not that, and sometimes because she did delete it quickly, and I don't know how much she saw that it went around or anything. I don't know if this kind of feels like WWE policy, and I'm saying it's a good policy. They would just rather ignore than make a statement about it and draw more attention to it. That's just what they've done with almost everything in this type of sphere. People have posted plenty on their socials that are not good looks, and they don't make a statement on it unless they're asked about it. They just ignore it. And then it goes away because the life moves on and something else comes on that people attach themselves to. And that becomes the end of that. Maybe some point she will be asked about it, and then she will have to address it. But I don't think she is going to just address it without being asked about it, because their policy, again, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but their policy appears to be ignore and move on.
Listen, if somebody in media has an interview and wants to ask her about it, that's their prerogative. They can do that. And she can address it or she cannot address it at that point. That's just, that's where we are right now. I don't think she needs to necessarily, come out and say, oh yeah, this was up for 3 minutes. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. It's just, it's a damage versus how much damage type of conversation at that point. There was something here, right? How will Hunter respond when someone asks him about it in the presser? Money in the Bank's coming up, and if she's got that briefcase.
Well, I think you should find a more reliable source than Fred 13,000 on Twitter.
Tell you what, I will ask the question, not on behalf of Fightful, but on behalf of TSN. I'll tell them I'm from TSN.
TSN? You're going to get in trouble with TSN.
Nah, no, I'm not. Yeah,
TSN's like, this guy doesn't work for us.
You're like, yes, but I'm willing to now that I've asked the important questions.
What if you just say you're like an independent contractor? Like, hi, Joel Pearl, independent contractor, like all of your wrestlers.
1099, here it is. I'm on a 90-day guarantee right now. Today is day 89, so I have nothing to lose. Here's my question. Do you imagine I can get off? I mean, listen, technically I am an independent contractor right now.
Just say that.
That's right. Independent contractor, Fightful.com. Oh, I know you. No, you don't. Stop.
Nah, don't say Fightful. Just say independent contractor.
Independent contractor.
Yeah.
Oh, do you imagine just like, oh, like our guys? I mean, how can I help you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like independent contractor, like everyone in WWE.
Oh, this is what I gotta do. I'm from the ITW Weekly. We're a local Toronto paper. We are the International Toronto Weekly. In Toronto Weekly. That is what we stand for. I mentioned TNA. I got to bring this up to you because I think you'll love this. I don't know if you watched the end or saw.
I mentioned TNA. I have to bring this up to you because I think you'll love this. Do you not know me?
Well, no, it's perfect because it's right up your alley. By the way, someone's saying I should say I work for Busted Open. I should. Hi, Joel Pearl, Busted Open Radio. What? No, you're not one of the guys we talk to. I am. I'm just not one of the ones you normally talk to. I'm the After Dark guy. No, we know that guy. That's Bully. Yeah, I'm Bully's son. Anyway, TNA. The end of the show, PCO comes out, gives a black rose to Steph DeLander, who accepts it. And I told Cresta last night, I said, I think we're going maybe towards a PCO STL wedding. I think we're going to see another TNA wrestling wedding, which I think you would love, because I know Jeremy Lambert, you love, especially forbidden love like PCO and Steph DeLander. And a wrestling wedding always ends well. I think this is right up your alley. That's why I'm bringing it up. I think you'd like it.
Look, unless PCO is singing Kissed by a Rose by Seal, I don't care. If he's going to sing that, awesome. That's what we need. We need PCO singing Kiss from Rose.
I have a few DMs I need to send.
Baby, I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. Ooh, the more I think of you, the stranger it feels. Yeah. Now that your rose is in bloom, the light hits the gloom on the rain.
Someone saying PCO would make it in WWE. Yeah, if he weren't like 89,000 years old, he probably would.
Rules.
Anyway, I think that would be a wrestling wedding worth doing. Last time TNA did a wrestling wedding, you remember what happened?
No.
Johnny Bravo got shot, and we got the amazing video.
Oh, right.
Of Tommy Dreamer over the body. No! It's my favorite video. It's my favorite Tommy video.
It has been a while since we've had a wrestling wedding. When was the last one? Was it that, or was it Loomis and Andy?
I think it was Loomis and Indy, because that would have been 2021 or 2022.
22. That was like the first episode
of 2.0.
Was it 2022? Really?
Hold on. Oh, it's 2021. It was September 20. Okay. What was 2022?
I don't know. Who cares?
I don't remember what happened yesterday. Wrestling wedding. Oh, when did Cardona do his GCW wedding?
Oh yeah, that was.
But wasn't that also like a vow renewal?
Yeah, that was technically a vow renewal, not a wedding. That doesn't count.
According to Pro Wrestling Fandom. Oh, this sucks. That didn't have the right answers at all. Pro wrestling themed weddings that went horribly wrong, which is all of them.
That's a lot of clips. I sing way too much on this show.
You do, actually. Laurel Van Ness and Braxton Sutter, that was 2018.
People love it. People love the singing. It's
they
not
do.
Good. I fully admit that, but like, I'm not here to sing good. Here, just have fun.
Anyway, there have been a lot of wrestling weddings, but there hasn't been one in a while, and I think maybe it's time we do another one.
All right, fair.
Steph DeLander and PCO. Then, sorry, it's a real Al Wilson, Don Marie style of wedding.
Well,
I mean, Al Wilson and PCO are around the same age.
Yeah, what if Manser should come in here and ruin all of this?
So that's the thing. If it brings Manser into TNA for a spell, I don't hate that, because originally the whole thing was Cardona, right? It was going to be Cardona and Steph DeLander having a little bit of a time in TNA, and then Cardona, injured his pec and he's out for a while, and he's still doing the GCW appearances, which I appreciate, because it's fun, and he's doing the unofficial official GM. That's cool. That's good. He hasn't been doing TNA as a result, and they kind of shifted the Steph DeLander story, it seems, because of it. Or they were going to do PCO and Matt Cardona in like their own separate feud, but now they've kind of made it PCO and Steph DeLander, and I just want the wedding. I think the wedding is there. What do the kids look like? My God.
Boy.
French, Canadian, Australian, Frankensteiners.
They're going to have that accent you tried to do. That's going to be their friggin' accent.
Oh, that's the perfect accent. Daddy, I would like some chocolates.
What the Stop it.
Papa?
Stop.
Papa, can you tell me about the wedding?
Bro, you sound like a glitched character in Bluey right now. Like, that's what you sound like.
You're welcome.
That's terrible. Like they just fired you off the set of Bluey for doing that.
It's fine.
Bluey's a little dickhead, by the way.
I don't watch Bluey. One of the kids in my son's daycare is like a big Bluey fan. Okay, this is
your son should punch that kid.
I wish you would. My kid's too busy. I don't know if your wife showed you this, but I sent the photo of my kid fell asleep last night, and at one point
recognized the book.
Yes, there was a book on his face as he slept, and then I didn't send the follow-up photo. This morning he woke up, and we have a Wi-Fi light on his room, like the ones I have in my backdrop. So his is set to turn on at a certain time, and we turned it on early because he got up a little early, and he's sitting up in bed. We look at the camera, and he's reading. This kid is like sitting there flipping through this book that he had slept with his face on. Anyway, my kid's a giant nerd. That's the point. But he's got a kid in his class who's obsessed with Bluey, and now it's like everyone's like, it's birthday season, I guess. Everyone was born around the same time in this class. They're all
Parents were fucking 9 months ago.
They were, and like he started the craze in terms of the timing. It's his birthday, and then it's all of his little friends. Anyway, one of them is so obsessed with Bluey that like they're all giving like loot bags for the birthday, and one of them had like a Bluey T-shirt for every kid in that class. It's not a big class; it's 10, but like 10 Bluey T-shirts, that shit gets expensive. Yeah. So we're not those parents, but Bluey, not our thing, not yet.
You know, the 12 kids watch this show. It's awful. I know like people want to cancel me over saying Bluey is a little asshole, but Bluey is an asshole. It's some British cartoon, by the way. Yeah, Chris, it's a terrible show.
Awful.
Like the show itself isn't bad, by the way. I don't mind like the actual show. I just think Bluey sucks. The
all of these characters are the worst. Like Peppa Pig is the biggest dickhead in the world, and Elmo too. I like Elmo because I love Sesame Street. Grew up with Sesame Street, so soft spot. But like every story revolving around Elmo is like, come on, it's just like Peppa Pig. Everything has to revolve around Peppa Pig. Everything has to revolve around Bluey. It's like the main character gets the most treatment out of everyone. It's just there are other characters that are better. When does Snuffleupagus get his comeuppance? When does George Pig take over as the youngest? Start bullying his sister.
All these characters are terrible. They're little jerks. You teach your kids how to be jerks. Don't watch it. Watch real television, like professional wrestling.
Apparently, Bluey is an Australian.
Oh, I'm banning Pile Driver Finisher.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Can I put him in timeout?
No, I like their inputs. Although Bert and Ernie were great. I have an Ernie doll from my childhood that we gave to my kid, and he sometimes sleeps with that Bert doll. The Ernie doll. And then we have another Ernie doll where it's like a sleeping Ernie. You lie him on its back and it fakes sleeping. It's very cute.
I'm going to ban Pile Driver Finisher. No SpongeBob slander. I will not accept it.
Ryan saying I'm glad I stuck to wrestling as a kid. I didn't. I don't remember really what I watched kid show wise growing up. Definitely Sesame Street. We talked about that. I also like, it's funny because like we're not TV people in our house. Like I have a TV here sitting next to me, but like it's almost never on. Maybe I play video games on it like once a month, but otherwise like everything is in front of me on these two screens. And like our kid he's not a screen kid. Once in a while we'll play a game or he'll watch something on YouTube, but by and large we're not really screen parents. We see a lot of it and like I'm not gonna get high and mighty about it. It's just like we see the benefits and then the benefits of not doing it, or at least moderating it, because everything in moderation, as they say. So we don't really do the screens as much with the kiddo.
Joel prefers his kids to watch the refrigerator door.
At least that way he knows his place and he knows where the important things happen, and that's where the fridge comes in and the door that hits him with it. It's good. Hi, Sean.
Hey, today it is Parmesan crusted chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes, leftovers from Cheesecake Factory.
I was about to ask because it's 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I've got some eggs left over too, but yeah.
Sean, what are your thoughts on Bluey? This is what we're talking about on the show here today.
I've never watched it. I'm familiar with it because of the name, obviously, but Not a thing that I'm watching a lot of.
Oh, all right.
Speaking of things I've watched, I mentioned this on Kate's show. You know, Kate sometimes she's so very helpful about things, and so a couple weeks ago she was like, she sent me a video message, and she's like, Sean, I was there and met you moments after you headbutted Billy Batty in the face, in which you said very calmly, you know, I could probably kill him. And Kate says, if that were to happen, I would be there with the getaway car immediately. However, you might want to stop watching a bunch of murder documentaries on the official Fightful YouTube if you're going to do that.
Since hearing that, I have decided that I am going to start watching nothing but bluey content on the official Fightful YouTube channel.
There you go.
Just to do my part.
Yeah, we got to cover things
Golden
up.
State Killer buff at this point. Watch a lot of that stuff. Fascinates me.
Oh man, it's good to
Isn't that Kawhi Leonard
have hobbies.
What is it?
Did Jeremy freeze?
He froze. I think he was making a Kawhi Leonard joke.
Yes,
I guess
he was.
There was a nickname there.
Jeremy, what's the Kawhi Leonard joke?
Oh, he said Golden State Killer. Kawhi Leonard beat Golden State Finals. You know,
He tried.
That's all.
He tried. Is this what I can expect when I come to SummerSlam? Is to see Jeremy in stunning 32p
potato camera quality and everything.
Mm-hmm.
If he comes to Toronto for Money in the Bank, he can have some good internet at my place.
Yeah, I mean, your internet never fails, does it?
It very rarely does. Now it is going to, of course. I'm plugged in. Like I'm directly wired to my computer. So I hate doing Wi-Fi for any show because I know it's going to shit the bed. It's professionalism at its finest.
I've attempted to switch. Well,
get off your 2G, Jeremy, and get on the 5G.
Oh, it's always the sick kids.
Yeah, here's the thing. I actually have to switch it to the 2G because that's the one nobody uses because everyone is on the 5G. And so if there's kids home sick, they're all on the internet still. And so that's just slowing up my internet. So look, it looks a lot better now on the 2G, doesn't it? Like it's actually holding up because no one's on the 2G. So that's actually why I switched it.
Can't relate.
Yeah.
My life. About to interview Reginald Scripts. You got anything you want to know?
Yeah, ask him who he thought won the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef.
No.
Why? He played Euphoria when he did his WWE release. Not release, his contract expired, but when he did that video, he played Euphoria. Clearly, he is in on it. Clearly, it should be a question that is asked.
Fair.
You should ask him about other Cirque du Soleil wrestlers and if he has spoken to them. Primarily, there's only one that's still on the beat. You know what I'm talking about, Mason Ryan. You got to ask him about Mason Ryan scoops. See if he's crossed paths with him because Silk is such a small, insulated family like wrestling.
And yeah, that is fair. I wonder if their time would. I mean, I think their time probably would have matched up.
Might be worth asking about.
Because I was interviewing Mason Ryan about Cirque du Soleil like in 2015, I think.
Okay, we may have stumbled into something.
Maybe. Let me see here. Interesting. Nice. No, it was 2016 when I interviewed him about that.
But if there's any crossover, or at least just the idea of coming from a place like Cirque, working in WWE, and like he was a very athletic, gymnastic style was the Reggie and Script stuff.
Yeah.
Was that looked upon favorably? Was that something that he was told to work through, like to enhance in his presentation? Like,
yeah,
I'm always curious about that because we see different gymnasts come to WWE or just in wrestling, and some do well and some don't do so well. I'm curious about how he feels as a gymnastically enabled person coming into wrestling.
Interesting. I think there might have been some crossover here as I look.
Let's go.
Anyway,
Look at
enjoy
Joel
the
actually
show.
contributing.
What?
So look at Joel actually contributing.
Sometimes I get it right.
Yeah.
That's right. See you guys later.
Bye.
So long, Sean. Just in time for our actual guest. I don't think Sean knew.
Wow. Sean buried.
I know, right? It's okay. I don't think Sean knew that we had a guest today. That's whatever. That's my fault.
He doesn't pay attention to this show.
That's fair. I understand that feeling too. Anyway, joining us now, he is the author of the new book. It is out now. It's called Stunning: The Artistry of Steve Austin. Very excited to welcome back to the program, Zack Heydorn. Good morning.
Good morning, you guys. You guys are cracking me up already.
Oh,
and I did not think I'd be walking into a Mason Ryan conversation. So this is exciting.
Listen,
it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. You're on the media blitz today. You have a whole bunch of appearances to promote the book, but nowhere else are you going to hear Mason Ryan conversation. So tell everyone, when I started today, this was the top of everything.
So yeah, yes, I'm doing a lot of media today, and I'm willing to bet that I won't be uttering the words Mason Ryan anywhere else. So this is awesome. Thanks so much for you guys for having me. I'm excited to talk wrestling with you as always. But
Wrestling.
Yeah, true. If you guys are out there listening and you want to check out this book, it just came out. It's available on Amazon. It's called Stunning: The Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. It is a look at Steve Austin's entire career from 1990 until WrestleMania 38 with Kevin Owens. And it's basically, it's me going through his career in the ring and, looking at his matches, looking at his work, transcribing certain parts of matches, transcribing promos, and then providing, written analysis on the art behind it. Like what made the Steve Austin character tick? How did he get to where he was able to get to? Where did it start? How did it start? Is there anything early in his career that you can say, hey, yeah, there's something there, and you still see that at the end? The answer is yes to all of those things. But we articulate that in the book start to finish. And so if you guys are Steve Austin fans or wrestling fans and just want to have a bit of a taste on, watching wrestling and learning about wrestling and kind of just soaking it in a bit of a different way from an artistic scope or perspective, this is definitely the book for you. So it's available on Amazon right now. I hope you guys go and pick it up. I certainly would appreciate it. I'm proud of it. I'm excited for the publisher Hybrid Shoot who helped me do this. It's an independent organization, so you're helping that as well. But mainly, I think you're going to get a really good book. So go ahead and pick it up. Why not?
I want to ask where the idea of all this just came from. I mean, Steve Austin, obviously one of the top names in wrestling history. And despite his run on top, I think people more or less know, pretty short, all things considered. Like his actual run on top was pretty short. So where did the idea come from of like, I'm going to take a look at this guy's entire career and really dive deep into every aspect of particularly Steve Austin's career?
I love that's such an interesting question. So it started off with like the idea. My idea was to write a book about the artistry of wrestling in general, like generalized book. And Hybrid Shoot was like, we like the idea, but that's a long book, and that's a lot there. So try to maybe we hone it in around one specific talent in particular and try to look at like their career to kind of like have the same artistic concept, but not as wide of a, picture, so to speak. And I picked Steve Austin because one, he is one of the biggest stars ever. And I wanted to focus on, a top tier act who not only is like artistically sound, but also that drew money and was a big star and like, mattered for the business too. So that was part of it. But the other part of it that I found interesting was when I started watching, different guys to see like who would be the best one to do. Steve Austin was really interesting because there are clear elements and things that he does that I think are in every chapter of his career that he builds on from the very beginning. There's something that I talk about in the book regularly of him he has these moments when he's a rookie to like his last match with Kevin Owens, where he is constantly checking in with the audience, whether it's a look to them or whether it's some kind of gesture his way or whether it's some kind of like, you know, hey, we're going to brawl through the crowd. Like he is constantly in tune with what that audience is giving back to him. And then he reacts to that in his matches. And that's from the very beginning to the very end. And so when I started noticing those little things, like in terms of studying up on him and some other folks, I was like, this is going to be an interesting project because he had so many different eras of his career, like clear-cut eras of him as a rookie, him as Stunning Steve, Hollywood Blondes, like Stunning Steve again, you know, ECW Austin, Ringmaster, you know, Stone Cold, Heel Stone. Like there's clear like eras that you can kind of follow. And once that roadmap, I saw that roadmap and I found those little nuggets that I wanted to like dive deeper into. That's what kind of greenlit, like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this on Austin. So we talk about that in the book. Like I write about it and there's like kind of that theme that goes throughout that kind of checks in on those things. But it was a really interesting case study once I started piecing that together. So that's how the Austin element we refocused it down to that after having kind of a broad idea to start.
When you started putting this book together, did you, and before the research and everything, what era of Stone Cold or what era of Steve Austin was your favorite? And then after writing this and after compiling and doing the research, did it change? Did it remain the same? Tell me.
So obviously the era that I liked best going in for Steve Austin and the one that I knew best was just like, you know, that Stone Cold era, like the post, really like what I would, in the book, we kind of start Stone Cold era, like officially with like the WrestleMania 14 title win over Shawn Michaels. So like that and beyond is what like I classified as the best. And I still probably do. I mean, it's such a hot era, and he's so good in that era on the microphone and in the ring. Not from he's not Will Ospreay, right? He's not, he's not a lot of guys in terms of like the athletic type matches that he's having, but the investment that the crowd has in his work at that time is like, you can put that up against any time in the history of wrestling, and it's at a very, very high point. So I still think that's probably his best era. But the era that I appreciate more now than I did going in after writing the book was his run with the Hollywood Blondes. There's a lot of good stuff with Steve Austin as part of the Hollywood Blondes. And one of the things that I hope that I convey in the book, like in the Hollywood Blondes section, is how much Steve Austin like opens up because of his partnership with Brian Pillman. Like Brian Pillman brought out, like when you watch like all those matches and all those different promos that they do, and they weren't around for all that long either. But he was a guy that kind of like was able to like peel back the onion a little bit and get some more range out of Steve Austin. Then you add into that the matches that they had and like their cohesiveness as a tag team. That was a really fun chapter to write. Because I watched like the Hollywood Blondes match that you can name off the top of your head, but really diving in and watching 50 of them, you see a Steve Austin that kind of opens up more and finds like another level to his performance within that run. So it was that was actually probably the most fun chapter to write, because I really felt like I learned a lot doing that one.
Is there anything covered? You mentioned it's a lot of the artistry and what we see on screen. Is there any off-screen stuff covered with whether it be the stuff that he went through personally with the stuff that's out there, or taking his ball and going home, anything like that? Any just in general off-screen stuff covered?
Yes. So all that's covered. I kind of use that I wanted to give a perspective of not just, hey, here are the matches and here's why the matches are good or bad or whatever they are. But I wanted to give some like context of what was going on in the wrestling world at that time in general, like around Steve Austin, but also with Steve Austin in particular. Because I think that's, it's important to paint that context and show, or try to show anyway, like what world did these matches exist in? Because certainly it's different today. Like if you dropped one of those Steve Austin matches into like a world where the Young Bucks are having the matches that they're having, or Will Ospreay's having the matches that he's having, like, you know, you won't necessarily look at that the same because it's so different. So I tried to, you know, ahead of each kind of era of his career, like dive into, okay, what's going on in wrestling, what's going on across the business, and what's going on with Steve's career, like outside of the ring. And so we do touch on that as like a table setter for the match analysis that comes after that.
Got a question from Why Solable is asking, was there any trepidation navigating Austin's rivalry with Vince, considering the allegations currently on Vince McMahon? I think it's a pretty interesting question. I think it's more in your mindset and your writing and everything.
Yeah, well, so yes, there would have been, for sure. So a couple things with that. First being, the majority of the book was written prior to these official allegations like coming out. So, you know, as I was writing that part of the book, you know, Austin versus Vince, which is obviously a major part of the book and a major part of Austin's career, obviously you knew things about Vince McMahon, but not in the way that we do today. And those allegations weren't made at that point in time. So no, like, to answer the question straight up, like there wasn't trepidation because they hadn't come out yet. Now that it's out, yeah, I mean, look, there's, you know, the Vince McMahon allegations sour a lot of stuff. I mean, it sours the Attitude Era. It sours an era of my like fandom personally that I, you know, really enjoyed because of Steve Austin's work with Vince McMahon. And, you know, it's a dark cloud, unfortunately. But I think, you know, the book is fair in that it treats Vince McMahon as what he was in the framework of the Austin storyline, which is a character on a TV show. And like, you know, we're not glorifying Vince. It's not anything like, you know, we reference him very much as a player in Steve Austin's career. And so I think overall, you know, we give a very fair, I think once it's all said and done, looking back, it's a fair kind of look at Vince with all the allegations kind of in mind.
What's a match that in rewatching kind of stood out to you? I think everybody knows sort of the big Steve Austin matches, obviously the ones with The Rock, the Dude Love Foley matches always stand out. The Steamboat matches as Stunning Steve, but like what was a match where going into it you weren't really thinking about too much, and then after watching it, like, oh shit, this was different. This is really good compared to what I remember.
Yeah, so there's two that stand out to me, and one may not be surprising because it's I think it's regarded as like a pretty good match, like in and of itself, and there's a really strong opponent. One was really surprising to me, just given the circumstances. I'll start with the not surprising one first. Steve Austin versus Kurt Angle at SummerSlam is, I thought, a heck of a match that like I forgot about, frankly, and I think it's forgotten about because it's heel Stone Cold, right? It's like not like your traditional what you remember with Stone Cold, because Stone Cold as a heel like didn't really work in the end, like collectively. But that match on that night is a really good match, and like Steve's able to get heat in that match, like more so than he did like for most of his run as a heel, and he got it there. Crowds behind Kurt Angle. You know, he gets heat for the finish. Like it just was like I thought it was just a good match that didn't change my opinion on the heel run overall. Still like terrible mistake. And I think Steve would tell you that. But that match though, like stood out like, wow, like, no, there is some good work here within this overall bad decision. And then the other one that stands out to me, and it's so funny that it does, because like, if you listen to my work and read my stuff, like this wouldn't be a match that I typically would kind of advocate for, but Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon at St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1999. That match is crazy. From just the investment that the crowd had in this heel Austin destroying, Vince McMahon. Like it's wrestlers today would like kill for that kind of reaction and that kind of investment in the match. And they didn't do all that much. I mean, they brawled around the ring. Vince took a couple big bumps. Like when you look at the match itself, it's like not much happened in it, but at the same time, so much happened in it because that crowd was just eating out of the palm of their hands. And so I remember watching that one and being like, wow, like this is crazy. Like this audience is just out of their minds for this thing. So that was one that I probably wouldn't have ever gone back and watched that match, honestly, if it wasn't for the book. But I'm glad I did, because it kind of reminded me of like, damn, it reminded you just how over that feud really was. And like, if you want to talk like over, that is an over rivalry. And like, that's a high bar, but man, yeah, that brought it.
Also, if you've ever wanted to see a man break his coccyx in a very disturbing way, that match was it.
Oh my God, yeah.
I've never seen a man bounce his entire spine off the side of a table like that.
Yeah.
Great. So like in the book, we've so K. Thor Jensen does the photos or the artwork in the book. And he so it's all custom work by him. And it's over like 100 pieces of work from the matches that I write about. And he has like a couple great ones from that match, including the spot that you're talking about. And like, it's such a moment in the match and so unnecessary. Like it totally like does not have to happen when you watch that back. But man, and even like an inch the other way, he would have been fine. But
you see him land. You just see him land, and there's a little bounce and then the table goes down. And you're like,
yes.
That
right.
That's something that just like always sticks with me. That Vince bump, and I'm a fan of that match. That's the Paul White Big Show debut as well. I can that whole rivalry is kind of embedded, and I'd be remiss. Somebody would yell at me. My wife probably. Bret Hart. You can't forget about the Bret Hart matches. I did not mention that when I set up the match stuff, but yes, the Bret Hart matches, obviously. Go ahead, Joel.
The Bret Hart matches are in there, and they're an absolute blast to go through. Because they're just as you both know, and as our listeners know for sure. I mean, it's just so good. And it was weird because obviously the book's not about Bret, but it was fun for a couple matches, like, analyze Bret that way, and he's just, he's incredible. I mean, it's incredible stuff. So
you mentioned K. Thor Jensen, who does the artwork in the book. How did you two link up? And you've already mentioned the enhancement that it makes to the product that you've created, but talk to me about working with K. Thor Jensen.
Man, it was awesome working with him. So Jonathan Snowden was a major advocate for this project. Connected me with Hybrid Shoot, which is the independent publisher that put this out, and he had the relationship with Thor. So it came together just like that. And it's funny, we had a vision to do this with a couple pieces of art, like a photo here and there if we could find one, and then like some art maybe like ahead of each section or each era, as we call it, that kind of like the eras are the chapters in the book. And then Thor was like, we need to turn the volume up on this. Like, this would be cool if there's just more art, like more stuff. And then he did it, like, and he worked it, and kind of, he like found the key points in the manuscript in the book where like we spend a lot of time, and then he would work just based off of that. And in the end, it was over 100 pieces of custom material for it. And it really does enhance it. Like it gives it a cool, I don't know, like I find it has like a fresh feel where it's not just Austin photos. It's like, it's somebody, doing their work and kind of like their vision of the match. And he's got such a style to his work, and it stands out. It's like, I find it like a little edgy and really kind of fun to look at. So so that, I mean, it was all Jonathan and all the publisher that kind of hooked us up together.
And my last one here is after going through everything you've gone through with the writing process, putting it all together, one, would you do it again? And two, who would be a next subject potentially for you?
Yes. I would definitely do it again. My gosh. Yeah. I mean, it was a really fun project to work on, and it, just watching like a career like that, like when you watch it like back to back to back to back to back, like I did, and like the book hopefully can articulate to everybody who purchases it, it's a different way to kind of watch something, and you can really get a fun sense of someone's work. So I would absolutely do it again. I hope I have the chance to. The people that I look at that I would like to potentially do a similar project on. I mean, a big one that would be like a quite the undertaking, I think, but one that just stands out because of his notoriety and just his star power would be Ric Flair. I mean, that would be a really like interesting one to do. Personal Ric Flair stuff aside, of course. Again, this is like in the ring Ric Flair stuff. I want to keep that in mind. And then the other one that I think would be a really fun and different kind of project in the same vein would be Shawn Michaels. He, I think, has like different eras similar to Steve Austin, in terms of like early singles run, working a tag team, coming out of the tag team, IC title, world title, post-work. So he's got like that, not the same trajectory, but similar kind of steps. So I think he'd be a really fun guy to do it on. But I mean, man, you could do it for Brett. I like when I think about like, it'd be fun maybe to tackle like, somebody like, Hiroshi Tanahashi or somebody like that, where there's like, like a Japanese wrestler with a totally different type of like wrestling art, but it's similar. So I think the opportunity is endless there. And yeah, but those are a couple names that kind of stand out of like who might be interested.
Can I pitch one more?
Of course.
Mason Ryan.
Well, okay. I don't want to break any news on the show, but yeah, I mean, that's we're talking about the third here. That's already locked in as book number 2.
That would be a tweet, not a book.
How dare you?
That's a Substack post for sure.
Oh, listen, we all know that if you've ever worked at the Torch, it's a prerequisite to love Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's part of the job. It's part of the interview process.
Part of the JD. Yep. Can
I ask, was there any input from Wade Keller from PW Torch into this book and kind of how it came together? Because they have a relationship. Do Steve and Wade? So I'm just curious about that.
They do. They do have a relationship. So Wade was, very like influential as far as just bouncing ideas off of in terms of like, what do you think of this match? What do you think of that match? Or like, do I have these eras correct? Or he also helped out a lot with the contextual part of the book where like, I'm trying to like piece together history to kind of paint like the picture of what's going on in the wrestling world at that time. So he's, helped out a lot with that, as did, his archives, helped out greatly. Wade wrote the foreword to the book, so you guys can see that he was gracious enough to write the foreword. But outside of that, though, he did not have he wasn't involved in like the day-to-day writing. So he was more of a consultant to history than he was like providing his own analysis on the matches that we talked about. So like obviously he served a tremendous purpose and was like a big help in the vein that he was involved. But like the essence of the book, he stayed away from.
Well, the book is Stunning the Wrestling Artistry of Steve Austin. Get it on Amazon. I'm going to post the link in the description of the video so that everyone can take a look, take a gander. It is affordable. It is worthwhile. Zach, not only I can vouch for his words being fantastic, but clearly you can hear him as well. And not just here talking about the book, but he's also got Brass Ring Media. Please talk about Brass Ring Media. Tell them where they can find you. And thanks for coming on this morning.
Oh, man. Yeah, you guys are the best. Thanks so much. Yeah, if you guys want to hear more of my work on a day-to-day basis, you can find us and you can find it at Brass Ring Media. We have our work mainly in 3 places. YouTube is our channel that gets updated the most, our platform that gets updated the most. We're live 4 days a week on YouTube, so you can subscribe there and get shows from me and other co-hosts. You can hit make sure to turn notifications on so you know when we're live. All those shows live as podcasts as well, so you can find us on your favorite podcast feed. We are there. Our written work is on Substack. Subscribe for free there. It's free, as is YouTube, of course. We review shows. We've got different columns and features. We have interviews that go up every now and then. So that's where our written work is. And if you want to become a member, which you should, it's on Patreon. So patreon.com/brassringmedia. It's $4 to become a member, $4 a month, and you get a weekly member podcast. You get all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows. We have a Discord group where all of our members hang out and talk shop and talk wrestling and talk, life and whatever else. And then also starting next week, there will be a member owned or for Brass Ring Media members, a companion podcast that goes along with the book. So you can kind of, as you read the book, we will also be doing podcasts about the matches that I talk about in the book. So that will be a fun thing that starts up next week that can tie into hopefully your enjoyment of the book project. So once again, it's patreon.com/brassringmedia. If you forgot all that, just follow me at Zack_Heydorn. And I posted there probably too much. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Zach. It's going to be all over the wrestling media and the media covering the book, promoting it. So check it out. If you haven't gotten all the info here, you're going to get it over the next little while. Congrats on the book. I'm looking forward to more and more of your success, buddy.
Appreciate you guys. You guys are the best. Thanks so much. Thanks to the listeners. We'll talk real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Zach.
Thanks, Zach.
He's going to let himself off. Yeah, there we go.
You never know who is going to click off or we got to click them off and all this stuff.
I know.
Always.
That's why we need that producer. We need that one person who just sits in the. No, we don't. Thanks again to Zack Heydorn.
Pay someone like $20 just to click people off of the show.
Do you imagine? That's good money to make. Let me tell you about my time doing Know Your News. Anyway, Zach was fantastic. Looking forward to it. I'm not kidding, by the way. He is legit making the rounds today and over the next little bit promoting the book. The way that he hit me up for this was hilarious. He DM'd me. We speak fairly frequently, and he's like, "What are you up to on Friday? Do you have a show on Friday?" I thought he was going to ask if I wanted to do something on Brass Ring Media, which
wow, look at Joel.
we do link up to do shows once in a while, and we enjoy talking about wrestling in different contexts because Brass Ring Media covers things differently than Fightful does. Fightful is primarily news-based and scoops, and Brass Ring is honestly, they're more analytical. They're less involved in the backstage conversation and more involved in the storytelling conversation, which, as many of you know, is something that I'm a big fan of. So I told him, hey, I got in the weeds, this is when we run, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And he's like, oh, good. I just released the book. And I was like,
Zach working himself into the schedule. You got to. Good on him.
But here's the thing. When he announced the pre-order for the book, I told Zach, and this was months ago.
Yeah, months ago.
I told Zach we would bring him on to talk about the book when it dropped, and he didn't even remember that, but here he is, calling us up and being like, bring us on. So kudos to Zach. He did the right thing. It was good stuff.
So I do remember when Zach mentioned that the Vince allegation stuff came out after kind of the book had finished. Yeah, they announced the pre-order of this thing. It was probably early January. I remember running something off of this. So I did imagine that most of what had been written from this book was probably already written when the heavier stuff came out. Obviously there was the allegations 2022 with everything that came out, but the heavier stuff with Janelle Grant came out just this year. And yeah, not that I'm saying Zach is lying of when he was writing this book, but I do remember like this book being a thing. Earlier this year, because I remember promoting it then. So
Well, there it is. The book is out. You can get it on Amazon. Like I said, I will drop the link in the description of the video so y'all can go check it out. It is, like I said, it's $34.11 in Canada, and in the US is $24.95. So go check it out. It's a paperback book, very well written, very the artwork is really, really cool. Just look at the front cover and you'll see, like Zach said, it's a different take on like the traditional wrestling artwork. It's really good stuff. So you'll see that throughout the book. I do love on the back cover, the first photo of Stone Cold with the long blonde hair looks like Greg Valentine. Just looks like Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's perfect. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, put the link there. We got a few minutes left till we're done. SmackDown preview tonight. Can we bring up the Brian Gewirtz comments first about the not the Rock holding up the WrestleMania documentary? I don't care about that. The who killed WCW stuff.
Okay.
Very quickly, Brian Gewirtz is saying, no, it's not going to be the WWE version of this. We got all these people who at one point worked for WWE after the demise of WCW on this show talking about what it was like working for WCW at the time when it was going under. And I'm thinking to myself, that's basically what the WWE version was. They had their slant and they make fun at certain points, but like I don't know what else can be told about this thing. And you got 4 parts, and it's like, yeah, The Rock's going to be there, but he's going to be there as the WWF vision at the time. Everyone else is going to be the WCW vision. I'm like, yeah, sure. DDP, Booker T, who was it? Kevin Nash. You got Bischoff and Russo, and like all these people have already been interviewed, and they've already talked about it from one point of view or another. Like, but they were all WCW guys before they made the jump over to WWE afterwards. Like, what are we doing? What is this thing? Stop trying to stop making fetch happen and stop trying to reinvent the wheel. We know what the story is. Like, the story wasn't there was incompetence. It was a cluster of things that has already been discussed. And like,
I think so.
WCW. That's it. That's the story. Turner didn't want it anymore. It got sold, and the people who said they wanted it decided we don't want it anymore.
So he mentions they interview people like Brad Siegel, Ted Turner's son. I think those are probably the bigger gets than, hey, here's Kevin Nash and Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo again, who have already talked about all of this stuff. Gewirtz did mention using Guy Evans' Nitro book as a reference, which I think is widely considered the best book on the demise of WCW. So that, he said they spoke with Guy about different things and covering different things. I see. Here's where this thing was not sold to me, but here's where this thing was not sold as in like I care about it. Sold as in like I see how it got made here. And so he talks about working with Vice and doing Tales from the Territories, and they cover like the 70s, 80s, 60s territories that like a general wrestling fan probably does not care about. Your hardcore wrestling fans care about that stuff. I'd have to go back and look at the viewership numbers. Don't know how good they were, but I can't imagine they were like anything spectacular. And Gewirtz says himself, like Vice is like not too thrilled with kind of doing this. It's like, we don't know about another season of this because doesn't seem like it's really latching on here. And then they were like, well, what if we did the ultimate Tale from the Territory and talked about the demise of WCW? And that's when Vice was like, this sounds great. We would love to see the demise of WCW. This seems like it was a $7 wanted to continue to work on wrestling stuff with Vice. They didn't want to do the Tales from the Territories, which they actually had some passion about and wanted to do. And so they were just like, let's throw the pitch on WCW and see where that gets us. And they were like, okay, yes, we do actually want that, because Vice does the Dark Side of the Ring, and some episodes of Dark Side of the Ring do better than others. But the episodes that do fairly well are stuff that's generally uncovered or stuff that is big time stars that they are looking at. The lesser nondescript stuff that you're not really thinking about, It's like, sure, we've heard this story before, whatever. So I'm probably not gonna watch it, if I'm being honest. I'm sure I'll see the fallout and everything. Quartz has got stuff to sell. He's selling stuff.
It's working, brother. I'm looking at the ratings from a few of these Tales from the Territories. October 18th, watched by 73,000.
I'm sure the premiere and then
still.
the finale did well, because premieres and finales always do well.
75. It was basically between like 75 to 93 to 100,000 viewers.
Okay.
And so whatever, it is what it is. But you're right. It could have been easily that they just pitched it and they're just like, sure, let's do that. It's 4 episodes. It's just a very silly topic to rehash every single time. And I get it. Like, some of the names that they're getting are different. Like, you mentioned Ted Turner's son, Brad Siegel's there, other top Turner executives and WCW executives. David Penzer was not interviewed for this, as noted in your interview with him on the Spotlight. Go check that out. But like, they mentioned Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Goldberg. I want Bret and Goldberg in the same room for that interview. It should have been that way. Booker T and Sharmell, Bischoff, Russo, DDP, Conan's gonna he's not even gonna talk. He's just gonna say words. David Arquette, where he's just gonna sit there and he's gonna be like, yeah, it was my fault. And then Medusa, I don't know, like, what are they're gonna talk about? The trash can incident,
probably,
and maybe the return in '99 where she did the Oklahoma thing. She's like, yeah, that was bullshit too, with the Ed Ferrara cruiserweight championship. Like, they put the cruiserweight title on me, blah blah blah. But it's like, I don't know. I think it's been talked to death. I get it. I'm also in a different generation than a younger generation who didn't live with WCW and only know about it from one side. At the same time, there are plenty of resources, but some people just want updated content. Sure, I get it.
It's been talked about to death, and then a lot of it's on the WCW. I guess the WWE network, sorry. But it's the WWE version of the story. Again, I think Guy Evans' book, which I read when it first came out, and I have no memory of it because my memory got awful, is the best look at what happened with WCW. And that's what people should be looking at. And again, Gort says they kind of use that. And I think you'll get a more honest look at things than a WWE produced documentary. Whether it's the whole truth, don't know. Obviously, these are all wrestlers. They're all going to have their side of the story and stuff. I understand people just have the WCW fatigue of like, how many times can you tell the downfall of WCW before it just gets old? And like, I get that. So I understand it. Like, but Gortz has got something to sell, and he sold. By the way, that interview he did, it was with the Mass Man show. It's on Ringer Network. It's like an hour and 15 minutes. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And Gortz is who he is, and then he's the narrator. This goes for anybody. I'm not trying to just make it seem like, oh, this is just Brian Gewirtz is telling his story. Everybody's just telling their story, right? But Gewirtz, we know who he's attached to. We know he was involved in this last run with The Rock. It's an hour, 15 minutes, and it was he got asked a lot of questions about WrestleMania related stuff. There is the update on the documentary. There's update on like kind of future Rock plans. There's update on, or not update, but like insights of, were people really mad that The Rock could get away with these things? My favorite answer, by the way, of this interview, my favorite answer is he's like, The Rock's at a point that we all hope to reach. It can do something. And what are you going to say to him? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to that? Like, The Rock can do it. And he's at this level that just, what are you supposed to say to this guy? Like, everybody hopes to reach that. And like, I don't disagree with him. Honestly, when The Rock was doing that stuff, that was my thought as well. It's like, all right, you're going to be mad at The Rock's cursing? No, Rocky, play by our rules. The Rock's like, fuck that. The biggest star in the world.
I'm on the board of
directors. I want
here. Board of directors rules. I am the rules. I make the rules. Look at you now.
He did talk about the Phoenix promo. That's the go home and smoke some crack promo.
I was going to do the video, but we already did it.
Yeah. So that's that clip, and that closed the show, right? There was the one promo that closed the show. Maybe it wasn't that one. I think it was actually the very first promo.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that was an opening promo.
Yeah,
the Phoenix one.
Yeah, the first promo they did closed the show, and you could tell they ran out of time and they did not get off everything they needed to get off, and that started the social media videos because Rock felt, oh, we only had like 12 minutes to do this promo. Obviously, he was like, I need 20 minutes at least to do this promo. So he's like, I'm just going to record it and put it on socials. And then that's what he did. And then he just started doing that. And we saw it. We saw it in real time, how he would post the promo to social media before the show. And then a lot of what he said on the show was like rehashed stuff. He was basically workshopping that. And like, here's the unfiltered version on socials. If you want the TV version, here's the TV version type of thing. And like, I think it worked. Truthfully, I think more people should do that. I think Drew is kind of doing that to an extent. Like, I think more people should kind of do that. Now, can you curse up a storm like The Rock does? No. But can you go on socials, post your promo, talk about the things you want to talk about, and kind of workshop stuff or enhance stuff, move stuff along, and before it gets to television? Yeah. And I think if it's viable, if it's available, maybe there are rules against it. And of course, The Rock's The Rock and it doesn't matter to him. Then okay. But if you're allowed to do it, kind of think more people should go that direction, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. Listen, it's a good interview to check out, the Masked Man podcast with Brian Gewirtz. There's a lot of stuff in there. I just felt like the WCW stuff was like, come on, man. Right, I get it. You're selling it. I get it. You're doing it. I think people like us are a little fatigued. And the Guy Evans book really did tell the story.
Look, it is what it is. Again, he's selling his docu-series and all this stuff. People have made up their mind on this thing before it's happened. You saw it when the trailer was released and everybody's like, why are we doing this? What are you possibly going to say? But people have made up their mind on it. And Gewirtz has got to try to change minds to at least get people to tune in. I get it. That was whatever. That was newsworthy in terms of like, it's news and people did want to know that kind of stuff. And I did think it was interesting of who they interviewed. But the insight he was able to give on The Rock, not total insight, because he's like, we still want to kayfabe some stuff and wait till the WrestleMania documentary comes out is one thing. But it was a good interview, and he talked about Cody Rhodes being the Julius Randle of WWE. Make of that what you will.
Well, speaking of Julius Randle and Cody Rhodes, he'll be on SmackDown.
Do you know who Julius Randle is, Joel?
Why don't you just educate us all, Jeremy Lambert?
He plays for the New York Knicks. He's injured. And if the New York Knicks somehow win the NBA championship, Julius Randle will technically win a championship. But he kind of buried Cody by calling him Julius Randle, honestly.
It's almost as if, I don't know, they're working towards something.
Oh, yeah, he said that. He's like, I want to take more shots at Pharaoh.
Damn. Brian Gewirtz versus the Dog. It's a match in heaven. I want to see it. Listen, all I'm saying is Cody Rhodes is going to be on SmackDown tonight. The Rock will not. Instead, in The Rock's place will be Logan Paul to make the champion versus champion match official. They still haven't told us if it's going to be belt for belt, if it's going to be nothing, if it's going to be something. Maybe they'll clear it up tonight, but they have been purposely vague. King of the Ring tournament and Queen of the Ring tournaments also have matches tonight. Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes. Looking forward to that one. And LA Knight versus Tama Tonga. Congratulations, Tama Tonga. And on the other side of the brackets, or on the other side of the LA Knight. Yeah. And then Tiffany Stratton takes on Bianca Belair. Jade Cargill takes on Nia Jax. That's SmackDown tonight.
Too much wrestling.
Yeah. Pull one of the matches, put them on the card for the weekend.
Look, man, I don't care about wrestling this weekend. Okay. Gonna be honest with everybody. As I typically am.
There are some big games coming up for you this weekend.
I got Game 6 tonight at 10 o'clock. I got Game 6 tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. If somehow both my teams win, I got Game 7s. If one of them win, I'll have one Game 7. I'm fully prepared for the worst. And that's winning tonight and tomorrow and then losing back-to-back Game 7s. If I have faith, confidence in anything, It is that my team will make this as painful as possible. That's all I care about. Wrestling, SmackDown, fine. Collision's taped. I've seen the spoilers.
Rampage
Seems
as well.
fine.
It's a 3-hour show, so have fun.
Seems fine. Don't care. I'm super concerned about the sports, and I'm either going to be depressed on Monday, or I'm going to be anxiety riddling because there's still a Game 7 on Monday potential.
Well, I hope that it's a good weekend for you regardless. Touch some grass,
Stupid.
see some family, do good things.
They don't want to see me.
Well, not while you're watching sports.
They don't care. They're just
Go to the park. Go to the park. Shoot some hoop with the 27 kids. No? Open a fridge door and accidentally knock one of them out.
Lock myself in a fridge door and then just release me after the sports are over so I don't have to deal with it.
Well, you keep cool over the weekend, so there's that.
It's like that South Park episode.
Anyway, let's get on out of here. There's no South Park on tonight, so that's not fun. Go watch replays of South Park. Go watch the Awesome-O episode. Jeremy, anything else? It is a good episode. Anything else?
It's been 4 years since we've lost a few people in wrestling, sadly. Okay, Shad Gaspard supporting the shirt here, a hero in the wrestling community and in life in general. So RIP to Shad. And also 4 years since we lost Larry Zonka, who people may or may not know from his work from 411 Mania. I think he was the absolute best when it came to match reviews, breaking down matches. I followed his star ratings. I know everyone's into Dave's star ratings, and I get that. I always followed Larry's star ratings because Larry watched everything. Ashley Mazzaro as well. Yes.
5 years for Ashley. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a shitty day in wrestling. But I followed Larry's match star ratings. I'm very proud and happy that I could call him a friend, that I stayed with him for a port, not like lived with him, but like I went to shows with Larry. I went to wrestling shows. I went to MMA shows with Larry. I stayed at his house a handful of times. I got to know his family very well. So I'm very proud that I can call him a friend and someone who I'll never forget. It was very out of nowhere. I remember waking up and just, I think Ashish from 411 sent out the message. And that's how I kind of first heard about it. Yeah. I looked at Larry not only as someone who, again, when it came to just like match details and everything, work ethic, people know how is kind of important to me. And I got to see that firsthand a lot of times when I did stay. The man did not sleep. He was watching the most ridiculous wrestling shows ever. The Dojo Pro one is the funny one that a lot of friends like to bring up, of like, why nobody's even heard of this show. And Larry's out here like reviewing it like it's any episode of Raw or Dynamite or whatever. Like he's just straight up just reviewing it as it's just anything. And it's like, why are you watching this, Larry? But it's because he really loved wrestling and he really loved just watching wrestling and reviewing it. So I saw that firsthand, that work ethic of just like how much he wanted to do, everything he wanted to do. And I always took from that, I was like, if I can do half of what Larry does, then I feel I'm in a good position. I got this job from Fightful because I worked with Larry, because I had Larry as a recommendation. Sean will tell you, he's not on the show now, but Sean will tell you of like, he saw kind of what my resume that I sent in, and he's like, oh, Larry Zonka vouches for him, must be a good person, must work pretty hard and know what he's doing. So yeah, that led to me kind of getting this. And then I just try to prove that every single day. It sucks, man. And I feel like I tweet this every year at WrestleMania time, because now this was during the pandemic when all this happened. It was 4 years ago, 2020 pandemic. So now with all the streaming services, with all the, because it's blown up even more since the pandemic, with all the streaming services, with all the promotions, with just everything going on, Larry would have thrived with all of this stuff. Like, he would have been reviewing all of these independent shows that no one really talks about. You know, like, we try to do our best on Spotlight. Jensen does a great job on the Weekender and everything, but you don't have people that just review all of these matches. Like, you have kind of your people who cover the independent promotions. They'll look into stuff, but Larry, just the scope of everything that he was covering, he would have thrived more than he already did with all the wrestling that's out there now. Like, and you would have been able to find the most nondescript independent match and be like, is this match worth checking out? And you would be able to see Larry's review of it and make your opinion based on it. People talk about cage match and like, oh, I use the cage match recommendations to see if like something's worth it. Cage match doesn't do a great job of highlighting independent wrestling and what matches you should watch and things like that. Larry would have done just an exceptional job at all of that. So it sucks. I always think every day of how much he would have been able to do in this current landscape of wrestling, and how much he would have educated people in this current landscape of wrestling with all the matches that are out there nowadays. So I just want to say that to my friend Larry Zonka.
That was beautiful, for real. Thank you. We send our love to the families of Ashley Massaro, Larry Zonka, Jack Gaspard. Enjoy the weekend. Go do whatever makes you happy. Okay. Rob and Maggie are going to be live at 3:00. If not, you can catch them on all of the platforms, including this one and the podcast platform and everything. If you haven't already, leave a thumbs up on the way out. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Enjoy your weekends again. I'm Matt Pearl, JOELPARL. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. We'll see you on Monday.